The Inside Job welcomes Linda Tannenbaum. She's the executive director of the Open Medicine Foundation. Okay. Are you a charitable foundation, Linda?
Yes. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. Everything we do is nonprofit medical research.
Okay. So if you file an American tax return, and a lot of Canadians are filing American tax returns now, this is tax deductible if you contribute to this organization. You're conducting a new research initiative on a scale never before attempted, as I understand it, for CFSME and fibromyalgia. Is that correct?
Yes, we are.
All right. Who was the person who put their finger on the fact that this hadn't been done, needed to be done, and Open Medicine Foundation should do it? That's a tall order.
Very good question. We are all trying to find a cure for ME/CFS, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a neuroimmune disease like chronic Lyme, fibromyalgia, and other types of neuroimmune diseases. So we're looking to find some answers and understand these neuroimmune diseases, and one of them focusing on right now ME/CFS. So we have gotten together a unbelievable, remarkable scientific advisory board led by Dr. Ron Davis, the director of the Stanford Genome Technology Center, and he has brought on some major colleagues that are experts in immunology, in fatigue, in neuroscience, in neurobiology, in computational genetics, in brain activity and inflammation, and has brought these together under what we're calling a scientific advisory board for the Open Medicine Foundation.
Okay.
And when they all got together on the first meeting that we had, which was October 2014, they all discussed where do we even begin looking to crack this illness.
Right.
And they agreed as a team that the best way to crack any illness is to look at those that are the most severely affected. So we needed to do a full study on the severest of the patients, and they've never been looked at before because they're at home, they're in bed, they can't get out to go to doctors. They haven't been gone out to go to the doctors.
Yeah. Do you feel there's a question of disbelief in the way of these, examining or hearing from these patients?
You barely hear from these patients since they are so sick, and if they have advocates at all, then maybe their voice has been heard very little bit, so we know that they exist. But Dr. Ron Davis's son, is one of the sickest that I've ever seen in this, and he is a bedbound, severely ill patient, which is the biggest catalyst for Dr. Ron Davis to really hurry and find some answers for this. And I have a daughter with ME/CFS, and so the two of us are on a path as fast as we possibly can to crack this illness, and knowing to look at the severest of the sick is the best way to find the strongest signal for biomarkers and for studying symptoms. We decided to go after this, and looking into it, it really has never been done before.
Yeah. Is your daughter severely ill as well?
She's not anymore. She was, and she was bedridden, and she was severely ill, and now she has improved enough that she really is able to live her life, and she has some relapses and episodes, but she's really out and about and able to live a pretty normal life. We call it the new normal.
The new normal, all right. Well, that's great. That's great. Yeah. What does she credit with getting her out of it?
Well, I wish I had an answer because everybody asks me that. But basically, when she got sick, her doctor said the best thing that she has going for her is her youth. She was 16 at the time. She's now 25. We tried everything possible that was available at that time, and nothing helped her. So I don't have an answer for you, and I would love to go out on the ways and say this helped her. But as time went on, she got a little bit better and got out of the house a little bit more, and then got a little bit better and got a little bit more. Her immune system improved, and her body started responding, and she was able to do a little bit more. And over now, we are 8 years out. She is able to, with pacing, really pretty much go through her day and live a normal life now. She has to stop herself sometimes and rest, but she's doing pretty well, and it allows me to do this. And since we're afraid of relapse and know now, since I've studied it so much, that so many people in the world have this, now we see that there has to be some research done to crack this illness because so many people are suffering. And we did not know that when she got sick. I had never heard of it before until she got sick.
Right. So you credit her youth with the beginning of her recovery. Do you give any credit to activity, to sustaining it? course.
She's sustaining it now, you mean?
Well, her improvement and now.
Well, I mean, when she was in bed and severely ill, there's no way she had any activity and couldn't do any activity. So,
well, it starts with her youth, obviously.
You can't suddenly do activity, but now that she has improved and able to do activity, she tries to keep active when she can.
Okay. What approaches are they going to take? Do you know?
Well, the severely ill patient study is really a molecular and cellular look at these patients that are so sick. So we'll actually be testing all body fluids that are easy to get from severely ill patients. So short of not doing spinal fluids, we will be collecting blood and stool and swabs and anything that we can take from a severely ill patient at their home, and literally studying the genetics of it, the immunology of it, and the gene expression of it, and every possible test that you could do really in the research market. So these are not commercial tests that are done on a normal patient that when you go to a doctor you get these tests done.
No. I got to. Yeah. So you're looking for differences.
We're looking for markers, biomarkers, something that is actually similarities and differences. If we're looking at 10 severely ill patients, we're looking to see if there's anything that stands out that they all have.
Okay.
So you're looking for similarities when you do these types of cellular level tests and molecular level tests. And because these tests themselves have not been done on these patients or not been done at all on any patients, they'll be compared to each other to see with people that have this similar illness and similar symptoms and disability, do they have similar markers that show up in this area?
So baseline normal is hard to establish then in terms of these tests because they've not been done before.
Normal controls and normals have been done on these tests, normal patients, but not chronic fatigue syndrome and not people who have these illnesses. So they'll be able to, the results will be able to compare to normal, therefore you'll know if it's abnormal or not. This is very big data. So this will all be looked at after all these results are in, literally using computational analysis. Computers and algorithms will have to research and go through all this because we're talking very big sets of data. It's not just have a glucose run and you have a result of 110. These are big data results of genomes and sequences and gene expressions, and these are not just numerical results that are going to come out that are going to be compared. So we will have computational experts looking at this and seeing what types of, again, similarities and differences are there. And if you see some, then you test them in, number one, other people who have different illnesses, and number two, then you start looking at it in not as severely ill patients and see if those same indicators are abnormal in those in the next level of the less severely ill, and then you keep going up, so the moderately ill and then the mild ill, and you take a look and see if any of these things that stand out are in different levels of different symptoms, and are they less when people have less symptoms, or are they more in people who are severely ill?
Oh, okay.
So you're honing in on some things and differences that are specific to this illness.
All right. And you have an initiative for May the 12th.
May the 12th itself is International Awareness Day for ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, chemical sensitivity, and chronic Lyme disease, basically neuroimmune disease.
Okay.
So it's Awareness Day that people try to make everybody aware of these illnesses because these really are invisible illnesses that certainly not enough people know about. But the initiative itself, as far as Open Medicine Foundation, we're already launching this study. Literally tomorrow, I'm visiting up in Palo Alto at Stanford. We're having a meeting with a number of the researchers and scientists to launch this study, which is called the Severely Ill Big Data Study.
Right.
And it's the first phase of our biomarker discovery of our END ME/CFS project.
Okay.
So it's a mouthful, but basically we have an END ME/CFS project, and we're at the first phase. So we're now raising money for that so we can add more and more patients, but we have some seed money that will be starting to test a few patients to see if we are starting to see some signals.
Will the number of patients depend on the funds that you're able to raise? Or do you have a figure?
Oh, so the more funds that we raise, we'll be able to add more patients. And obviously then we'll get more data to be able to compare. So it's very important to be able to do we don't need a huge number of patients for this initial study, but each patient costs about $25,000 to do. So as we raise more money, we'll be able to add more patients. And realistically, we need about 15, 20 of this level of patient to be able to see if there are common biomarkers at this cellular molecular level.
When is the first phase expected to be done, and what do you move on to then in phase 2?
It really depends on funding. So we don't have the full funding for the first phase. We only have funding for a few patients. In order for us to make any conclusions to go to the second phase, we'll need to run a good 15 to 20 patients. The timeline really has to do with how much funding comes in. So the first few patients that we're doing will take the first couple months, starting tomorrow. But it takes a long time to do these research projects and to get approval to do them. So we're just literally beginning tomorrow. We're launching it.
To get approval and start at some future date.
You have to get approval from review boards to be able to draw blood from severely ill patients, or any patients for that matter, before you even begin doing it. So I can't say today I want to go draw 5 patients and go and draw them for these tests. I have to actually write out a exact protocol of what we're going to do with whatever samples we get from those patients, and then literally apply to a review board, a investigational review board, a governing review board, to be able to say, yes, that is okay for you to draw that amount of blood or collect those fluids from those sick patients. And you have to get approval. And it takes 2 to 4 weeks just to get the approval once you've written up all the details of the protocol.
So you'll be discussing the protocol in Palo Alto?
Yeah, we'll be doing that starting tomorrow.
Okay, good.
So we have the protocol on our website, which is the higher up view of what basically we're going to be looking at. It's not the details of a protocol doing step 1, 2, 3, 4, but this is explaining what we're doing. So if anybody wants to take a look at it, it's on our website at openmedicinefoundation.org.
Okay.
And it's the severely ill data, big data study.
Okay, so the lead into the study, how you plan to do it, at least phase 1, is up on the site, openmedicinefoundation.org, right?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Any details of phase 2 or 3?
Literally phase 2 and 3 for this biomarker discovery. It really depends on what we find in phase 1, and we're hoping that in phase 1 that we see several biomarkers that stand out, and then we'll be able to test them against the less severely ill, and then you want to be able to use these what we would call then biomarkers to see if indeed people who have the same symptoms have these same biomarkers. So then you can and then we would test people that have other illnesses and similar illnesses and see if a chronic Lyme patient has the same, if a fibromyalgia person has the same, if somebody that has MS has the same, somebody has Parkinson has the same. So you want to see if it can define the disease. Yeah. You also want to see if the similarities in different diseases. And it really opens up, the research itself will open up as the results kind of give us the direction where to go.
No, it's about the way my conversations on the radio open up, too.
Yeah, they expand.
Yeah, they do.
From one thing to the next, exactly.
Yeah. Where are you?
You don't really know where you're going to be in the next phase or 2 until you see where the first phase is flowing there.
Yeah, it takes courage, too, to write a proposal like that, I'm sure. Is there a public outreach for fundraising? After you go to the website, is there a place where you can donate? And is the donation, are you accepting international patients for the study, or is it limited geographically to your area? And are the donations, of course, accepted internationally for what will be an international benefit?
Well, thank you for asking. Well, first of all, to donate, we receive donations from all over the world. We do now. Internationally, you can use your credit card, of course, on our website. It has a nice big red donate button.
Okay.
You can also use PayPal. You go on that big red button. You also click on it, and it has a click-through for PayPal, which is used a lot internationally. Or if you want to use a credit card and can use a credit card. So it makes it very easy to do. For people that are in the United States, they can write a check if they wish, or they can go online as well. It's very, very simple to donate. As far as the patients, right now we're doing a very few patients for this particular study, and since this is the severest of the severely ill, we will be looking in the San Francisco Bay Area right now to do the severest of the severely ill because of collection techniques.
Yeah.
You want to be able to collect all the specimens and literally drive them immediately to the laboratory and have them processed and not have collection as any type of variable that may change the results.
Very good.
So after you have answers, next phase out, then you want to start looking obviously broader and then be able to set up techniques to be able to collect specimens from farther away and be able to preserve them and get them to the laboratory and get them so that way collection is not a variable there. So eventually we hope to expand that and draw many patients and be able to do larger studies, and eventually we'll have biomarkers to use, and we will go on to the next phase of looking for effective treatments and really trying to understand this illness towards a cure. And that's a much, much bigger project, and that's down the line.
All right. So the best way to follow this is on your site, openmedicinefoundation.org, right? The development
Yes,
of
we
these
will
tests.
have news blogs on the site, and we will also people can sign up for our free e-newsletter, and that's also a nice green button on the site. Sign up for the newsletter, and it literally just comes in your email. When I actually write up, and if we have something to say, we will send a newsletter out. But besides the newsletter, we'll be posting some blogs as our progress, and you'll be able to see that on our website.
Oh, thanks, Linda. Was there anything else you wanted to say that I haven't asked questions about, or you haven't got a chance to elucidate for a listener about your trial and your fundraising?
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, for the trial, the difference here is, compared to other research projects, I've been in this world for 8 years looking for who's doing research, how's research being done, and what can be done about it, and realized that real collaboration was not happening on a big scale here in the United States. And so my purpose here was this past year, we brought on this scientific advisory board with Dr. Ron Davis as the director, which was new to the foundation, and decided that we needed to, if we wanted to find a cure rather than just literally fund separate research projects, needed to take it to a grander scale. So the people that we brought on at the scientific advisory board that are helping to make these lead decisions are, I have 3 Nobel laureates now, and 6 that are members of the National Academy of Sciences, and some very prominent experts and clinicians on our board that really are the top scientists that could possibly get together and collaborate to crack an illness like this. And they, as a group, think that this is something that is doable if we really look at the basic cellular science of this illness. And it was very exciting to hear that together with these scientists that are really sharing ideas on how to move forward. And after we raise literally millions, we're doing this one particular project, a severely ill patient study. But the bigger project, the End ME/CFS project, is really a collaboration, pulling in the researchers that are currently doing research in ME/CFS all over the world, and experts that are not in the field yet but are experts in their own fields, pulling them together in a huge consortium, we're calling it, 70 to 100 different scientists together 3-4 times a year discussing what needs to be done to crack these illnesses. This project, which is the big picture project, I'm literally raising funds of $5 million a year for, and that's our big fundraising effort. We've actually hired fundraising consultants to position us to be able to raise that kind of big money for that level of research because it's not being funded by the government right at this time.
Right.
So we're looking to the government, talking to NIH, trying to get funding, but that will take years. We know that. We're going ahead trying to raise it in the private sector so we can really get this going on a really big scale and pull all the researchers that know exactly what they've been doing in this field and pull all their minds together and work on this together. And so our idea and our difference here is the collaboration.
Very good.
So that's the biggest one. And then as far as donating and fundraising, we want to encourage other people around the world to have their own their own fundraisers and be able to donate to this big picture, the big End ME/CFS project and the severely ill big data study. in order to really move this together as a global effort, because it's a global major problem. And so that's the main push, and we're impatient, but we're moving and pushing ahead as fast as possible.
Any kind of kit on the site to encourage people to get started with this global fundraising initiative?
Good question. Yes, very good questions. What we do, it needs to be expanded, but when you go on our site, we actually have, under our support research tab, there's actually a tab that says Plan a Fundraiser.
All right.
It has ideas and step-by-step how to do so.
Oh, very good.
And we're putting together some marketing material, so to speak, to kind of explain in layman's terms what we're doing, that they will also be able to print out for this. And that part we still have to get going. But it has an entire set of information and instructions on how to plan your own fundraiser. We call it a FUN fundraiser, like fundraiser.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, I thank you for the time you've taken with me to explain this today, and it sounds like an exciting new beginning. Your passion for it is evident.
Thank you.
Is your daughter involved at all?
No, I try to keep her out of it and living her life, actually. Allows me to do this as long as she's, able to do what she's doing.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
again
you very
today.
much. I really appreciate it, and really appreciate everybody listening.